Group 1 gives a list of loom motions and group 2 contains loom systems. Match the motion from group 1 with the corresponding system from group 2. Group 1 says that shedding, picking, beat up and take up. These are motions that are used in looms. And group 2 are loom systems. Group 2, the options are matched cams, 7 wheel, rapier and jacquard. So I think this is a very straightforward question. If you look how shedding mechanism is working, so in shedding mechanism jacquard can be used. And what is the case in jacquard? Individual one-to-one fibers are arranged in this kind of thing in case of jacquard. So for shedding jacquard mechanism is used. And for picking, what can be used for picking? So picking, we can use the rapier loom system for the picking motion. And for beat up, so beat up we can use the matched cam. It is a direct question. It is we can use match cam. And for take up roller, 7 wheel and 5 wheel motions can be used, since these are take up. So if you read about shedding, picking, beat up and take up motions, it is the fabric manufacturing system, how the fabric is manufactured. Then when the shed goes, and when the looms, when the warp and weft strike each other, and how the fabric is oriented when picking, when the one pick comes, when one pick comes and when it strikes onto the loom, then warp and weft are joined together, and in this case the fabric is formed. So this is a typical loom motion what we have just studied. So this is a basic concept. Now looking, just match the option. What option can be correct option? So option P4, Q3, R1 and S2. So option C is the correct option. I think it is clear. Now coming to the next question. Group 1 gives the list of terms of woven to the woven fabrics, and group 2 contains equivalent terms related to the knitted fabrics. Match the term from the group 1 with the equivalent term from the group 2. So if you relate these questions, these are basic questions that test your basic understanding of textiles in case of woven and knitted fabrics. So this is a matching type of questions, and you have to match the terms of the woven fabrics that with the knitted fabrics given in group 2. So in group 1 the terms that are given as cover, double cloth, warp and weft. And in group 2 interlock, veils, tightness and courses. So these are all in group 2, these are all knitted terms, knitted fabric terms that are used in knitting. And in group 1 these are all woven fabric terms. So if you remember, in knitting a wall is a veil that is used, is a column of loops running lengthwise corresponding to the warp of a woven fabric. And what is a course? A course is a crosswise row of loops corresponding to weft. So if we talk about veils, so veils are basically used in warp. So if we warp veils, so these are lengthwise. If we talk about these, so these are warp, and these are veils that run across the lengthwise in case of woven fabric, and these courses runs widthwise. These are courses. So in knitting these warp and weft are replaced by veils and courses. So I think you must have understood by now. And if we talk about cover, what is a cover? Basically cover is the tightness. If you have read about DN, it means the what is the tightness of the fabric, how much the fabric occupies. What is the cover of the fabric is the tightness of the fabric, how much the space is occupied by the fabric, what is its in terms its volume. If we you have read about the formula, K is equals to dn 1 upon n1 d1. So just what is Cover is just basically a tightness. And what is double cloth? And double cloth is nothing but just it is similar to the interlock fabric that is used in the knitting process. So these are clear. I think P3, P3, Q1, R2 and S4. So option B is the correct option. I think it is clear to you. So option B is the correct option. Now coming to the next question that says that determine the correctness or otherwise of the following assertion and reason. The assertion that is given as in shuttle loom late shading is preferred for filament weaving, and the reason for this is in late shading the timing of the shed dwells matches with the timing of the shuttle travels through the shed, and therefore it minimizes the rubbing of the warp yarns. So before this, let's talk about what is late shedding. So in case of late shedding, all the heel shafts come to equal level when the crank comes to 5 degree after the top center. So this is the basic concept of the late shedding, and what are its advantages. Late shedding is basically used for weak warp yarns. It allows greater time for the shuttle passage, so it is very suitable for synthetic yarns or the weak filament yarns. And it is very useful if the pick of low strength is used. But there are some disadvantages of late shedding also, as the warp yarns are not distributed evenly during the beat up motion, so fabric cover is low in case of late shedding. So and also it causes the less distribution of the yarns, so it is not suitable for very fibrous warp yarns, and it causes a weak fell of the cloth because the weft may roll back. So it is useful for filament weaving, but it is not useful for other type of weaving, because the reason that is said in this case that the timing of the shed dwells matches with the timing of the shuttle travels through the shed, so it minimizes the rubbing of the warp yarns, and the and so that can be used for filament weaving, and the fabric may not be break. So this is the correct reason for this. And so if you talk about what is the correct option, so the correct option is option number A. Both assertion and reason are true, and R is the correct reason for A. So this option A is the correct answer. Now coming to the next question. The typical shapes of a comb sorter diagram and the fibrogram of a polyester fibers of equal cut length will be triangular and rectangular respectively, rectangular and triangular respectively, rectangular and S-shaped respectively, and S-shaped and triangular respectively. So in this case, the shapes of the comb sorter diagram is used, and fibrogram for polyester fibers, synthetic fibers of the length is equal cut length, means for both the fibers the cut length will be same. So if we talk about equal cut length for polyester fibers, so for comb sorter, if you have read, it is a direct question. So this type of rectangular shaped structure is formed in case of comb sorter diagram for polyester, rectangular, and in case of fibrogram, this triangular structure is shape is formed triangular. So this is the correct option for comb sorter and fibrogram respectively. So match this. For comb sorter it is rectangular, and for fibrogram it is triangular. So I think this is given in option B. So option B is the correct option. So it is a direct typical shapes of comb sorter. In this comb sorter diagram, two things are important. Many times numerical questions are also asked from comb sorter diagram. The dispersion length and the mean length is questions are also asked, and comb sorter diagram, the diagram itself is important. What is the mean length, what is the 50% span length, and so on and so forth. These kinds of things are also important. So uniformity ratio in case of cotton fibers, so uniformity ratio is equal to 50% span length upon 2.5% span length. So these things are also important in this case. So just have a focus on these things also.